Hello, everybody, and good morning. My name is Ricardo Cabrera. I am the operations manager at the Latino Chamber of Commerce of Boulder County. And today we have J.R. Kuro as our guest. J.R. is the owner. He's a professional speaker, mental health with a specialty in diversity and inclusion. And his business is called Coffee with J.R. So, J.R., welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much, Ricardo, for this invitation to be on your video. So I really appreciate this opportunity.
Excellent, JR. So before we get to talk about work, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I was, okay, long story short, I was born in Taiwan, a little country in Asia. And so I moved to the States when I was 9 years old. So I grew up between San Francisco and Los Angeles in California. And I went to University of Colorado in Boulder. So I was one of those non-traditional students because after high school, I was so lost. I consider myself as like a surf bum, meaning that due to low self-esteem, throughout my life, like I didn't think that I was smart enough, that I didn't go to college until when I was 21 years old. Through a lot of motivation, a lot of amazing people around me that encouraged me, told me that I was good enough to go to college. And finally, when I was 20 years old, I was in Hawaii. I was surf bum. I was kind of working on side jobs here and there. I was so lost. In Hawaii, I was it was a kind of funny story that one day I just went on a boogie board, instead of surfing, and then this one undercurrent hit me, and I fell off and hit my head in the sand. And that was kind of like the awakening moment that I realized that, oh my God, screw this life, I need to go to college. And through just different amazing support and stuff like that, back then I was under international immigrant status. So there's no way I could even afford to go to college because I had to pay out of state tuition. And just through generosity of certain individuals, they sponsored me to go to college. So I'm just very, very thankful. Without these amazing people's support, I wouldn't be here. And that also helped me to learn that it's okay to talk about mental health. Because I went to college when I was 21 years old. In my 20s, I experienced pretty severe depression. And I just through different encouragement, mentorship, I learned that it's okay to be who I am. And mental health, there's always hope, and recovery is possible. So I think that's why one of the reasons that I'm doing what I'm doing right now is because I think that through my stories and experience that I can give back to these young adults that are going through mental health challenges or different challenges, whether it's through their cultural identities, that I think that hopefully my stories can inspire them, to have a better quality of life.
Wow, what an incredible story, JR. And if you use your life story to motivate others, it's always a great strategy, right? Because people relate, and relating to a story makes it, that much more powerful. So good for you, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. So you say you're from Taiwan, so I'm assuming that you speak English, you speak Taiwanese, right? That's similar to Chinese. Any other languages?
That's it. So in Taiwan, we also speak Mandarin. So that's it. So just English and Mandarin.
No Spanish?
Oh yeah. So Spanish. So talking about Spanish, yes. So I have just started learning Spanish. So I just had my 5th lesson yesterday. So when Ricardo and I, when he first reached out to me, he asked me if I speak Spanish. I was like, not really. The reason I have started learning Spanish because I feel like I'm very fortunate and privileged that I have traveled to Peru, Costa Rica, and Mexico in last few years. And I just love the Latin culture. And then I'm fingers crossed that Spain will open up soon, that I'm planning to go to Spain in July. And I just told myself, you know what? I love Spanish culture. I love Latino culture, food. And, it's time for me to learn the language. And my instructor, my Spanish teacher, she's amazing because not only she teaches me the language, she also teaches me the culture, the reason behind it, the history. And the more I've been learning it, the more I'm just fascinated about all these, just the beauty of the culture.
Wow, so I'll have to agree with all of that. And Spain is a beautiful place as well. So I hope you get a chance to go over there.
Yeah,
So,
thank
so
you.
I can see with your story and your schooling and everything that it's probably one of the reasons why you were inspired to advocate and teach mental health and diversity and inclusion. You know, tell me more about that.
So with mental health, so I already kind of share a little bit more about mental health. I think with our communities, Asian American communities, and from what I have learned about the Hispanic, Latino communities, there are a lot of mental health stigma that we don't like to talk about our mental health struggles. We want to keep things within our family. And this is part of the immigrant culture, because we work so hard, we cannot show any weaknesses, we are surviving. We have to survive. And the moment we show our weaknesses, we would be vulnerable, which is totally, for me, I feel them, I understand that growing up as an immigrant, I experienced all of these. At the same time, that doesn't mean that we should not take care of ourselves. In fact, we should take care of ourselves more because as immigrants, we went through a lot of hardships. We are traumatized over and over due to racism, xenophobia, classism. We got made fun of, we got put down of, and due to these reasons, we need to put more emphasis, not only on physical health, our emotional health, and our mental health, for the sake of our communities, for the sake of our next generation. And so this is the mental health part. And when it comes to diversity and inclusion, we all know that, we people of color, we immigrants, we often get put down. We often not invited to the table. Again, I use the words like racism or xenophobia. A couple weeks ago, or actually a couple months ago, I was reading this meme, kind of funny meme. It asked that like, what is considered classy, but if people of color do it, it's not classy. And one of them is that if privileged white people speak bilingual two languages, they are educated, they are fancy, they are bougie. But when immigrants speak two languages, we're immigrants, we're workers, So there's that very innate classism, racism, and xenophobia toward us, I still remember growing up in LA, a lot of my childhood friends, due to bullying, due to this pressure, wanted to be American, i.e. white, that they sacrifice our cultural heritage, languages. They would refuse to speak their own native tongues. They would refuse eating their food. And looking back right now, we were like, how stupid were we? We know that speaking two languages, you can be so much better off career-wise. And how can we hate our food? We like our food is so much better. Hispanic food, Asian cuisine, Korean, Japanese, Chinese food. And again, it's part of this perpetual external racism toward us, and also ourselves, internalized racism. That like we have to, that there's this pressure that we want to conform to be as white, and therefore we have to sacrifice, we have to put down other immigrants or put down others, our people, in order to make us feel better. And because of these reasons, mental health and diversity and inclusion, that I'm passionate about educating people, using my stories, hopefully inspire people that, hey, we need to stop. We need to stop building these walls. We need to stop pretending to be someone else. we need to really be proud of our heritage. We need to really own our heritage, because I think that part of the reason that during my 20s when I was so depressed is because I was chasing something that I'm not. I was trying to be as white as possible. And after years of therapy, a lot of self-reflection, I realized that, you know what? I'm who I am. I'm Asian looking, I have an accent. The more I have accept my cultural heritage, who I am, the happier I am. Another thing that I've been teaching my students is that don't think that, we Asian Americans, well, immigrants, don't think that we are less than 100%. In fact, we are 200%. Think of this way. I can speak English and I can speak Mandarin. I'm Americanized. At the same time, I still understand, know a lot of my Chinese, Taiwanese culture. So I'm not 50%. No, I'm 200%. And be proud of this 200% of me. So yeah.
Yeah, wow, that's beautiful, man. I love your philosophy. I love how you talk about this. It's all so true. Let me ask you, I know I told you I wasn't going to give you a gotcha question, but one of the things that you talk about, I hear you completely, but, tell me your thoughts about this. Inclusion by exclusion. I don't know how to ask the question, but, I hear that you have to be yourself. I am myself. I have an accent. I speak, more than 2 languages. I've been traveled like you have. I'm 200%. Never thought of it that way, but thank you for that. So, but I also see in a lot of circles, certain circles, that they hope to achieve inclusion by excluding everybody else. And I happen to think that we can't break this bubble from the inside. There has to be, help from the outside. So what are your thoughts about that?
So I think the help from the outside, I think this, me and you talking right now is a good example of help from outside. I don't know if folks out here heard this phrase called model minority. It was invented back in the 70s. Model minority, we call it model minority myth, meaning that it said that, look, Asian Americans are doing so well. They all then go to Ivy League, have amazing good jobs. So why can't the Blacks and Hispanics people do that? So it's a myth. It's a racist rhetoric created by the white people to pit us against each other. So yes, there are a certain percentage of Asian Americans are doing very, very well. But like any other demographic, there's a lot of us are not doing well, struggling financially, don't have a good job, don't have affordable housing. And however, media love to just highlight that there's certain percentage of us go to Ivy League, working corporation. And it's just not true. And the reason I'm bringing this up is model minority myth is that it's time for us, Hispanic people, Asian people, Black people. And I know when I say Hispanic people, it's very diverse. The Chicanos, different. And something with Asian people, there's very, very diverse. It's time for us to really break down these walls and have this type of conversations. So that's why I really appreciate you reaching out to me, let's talk, let's share ideas, let's see how we can work with each other and support each other's causes, instead of trying to put each other down, because in this country, we are pretty competitive. And there's this mindset of zero-sum game, meaning that in order for me to win, you have to lose. Well, the pie is this small. So if you want a piece of pie, you can't, then that means there's something that I'm going to lose. So this is zero-sum game. I think this mentality is very, very dangerous, because we have so much resources. So the question is, instead of I cannot share the pie with you, instead of this question, we should ask, how can we make the pizza larger? Therefore, me and you can even have larger slice. Let me give you one example. We have enough food in the United States. We produce enough food to feed the world twice. We have enough food. But why in the United States itself, why there's like what, 4 or 5 million kids still go hungry every night?
Mm-hmm.
It's not because we don't have enough resources. It's because of this mentality. If we give food to this poor kid, then they're gonna rely on us and all these classes ready. And we need to stop thinking like this, including myself. I have learned the hard way. And I committed myself last 5 years saying that like, no more this type of thinking. No more us versus you. No more that like, if I have to win, I have to put you down. No more this. Instead of let's break the walls. Let's try our best, lift each other up. Because the more I can lift you up, I think the more I can lift myself up.
And you're awesome. I love that way of thinking. The pie story applies to a lot of other things, because if you're thinking of a pie, it's finite, and love and sharing is infinite. So I remember my daughters asking me, if I give you a kiss, that means you're going to get less, and the answer is no. Those are infinite, and sharing and community is also infinite. There has to be a way, and there is a way that is the synergistic concept. 1 + 1 = 5, and we should all think like that, like you just explained it, right?
Yes, yeah.
Excellent, JR. So thank you for all of this. This has been awesome. I wish we had 3 hours to talk, because I'm all feeling inspired already myself after hearing you speak. Let me ask you this: in your company, just so people know, and I'm going to put all your information in the description down here so people can get a hold of you for more conversations, questions, and maybe to contact you and help you inspire them as well. So what kind of services or trainings do you offer?
So thank you for the question. So overall, my products can be broken down in 3. First is mental health. I offer mental health first aid with different, very custom designed mental health training. And the whole the whole mission behind mental health training is to destigmatize mental health. And all my mental health training are culturally designed to fit different demographic. As I mentioned earlier, that our demographic, our culture, we have our own struggles when it comes to mental health. So my mental health training is designed to break down these walls, these barriers, so we can learn on how to talk about our mental health. We can learn on how to heal ourselves from within. And the most important part is how we can prevent suicide. So that's my mental health. And diversity and inclusion training is is designed for companies, from corporations to small businesses. I have given diversity and inclusion training to nonprofits, to Fortune 100 companies, to universities. And the idea behind it is that, how can we, the company, the employees, I know a lot of these employees and people, they are amazing people. They want to do good things. They want to improve their company culture to be more inclusive and diverse, but they don't know how. So doing my diversity and inclusion, I teach a lot. I provide them all tools on how. And it starts within. How can we really have this paradigm shift? Using that finite resource of pie I used earlier. That's something I learned a while ago. However, it takes a very intentional mindset and tools to really embody this tool. So I teach that. And last, I give one-on-one coaching. So I don't do therapy. There's a lot of amazing therapists out there. So therapy is more about healing. For example, if you broke your leg, you need to see a doctor and heal your leg. So therapy will be more like healing your leg, and there's a lot of therapists out there. So for me, coaching is that, okay, once your leg is almost healed, and you need to go through physical therapy. I'm more like a physical therapist on how we can, and if you want to run a marathon after you broke your leg, I can help you, because I always believe in accountability. I believe in action. Let's do it. So that's the type of coaching that I provide people in terms of life coaching or business coaching.
Excellent, JR. Well, thank you for all that. And again, all this information will be down here. So you guys you'll have JR's email and Coffee with JR website and phone number. So Again, thank you, JR. This has been awesome. Before we go, I have one surprise question for you. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, another surprise question because I already had one for you. So here it is. What is your favorite word?
My favorite word?
Yep.
Can I swear here? Well,
Sure.
so my favorite word right now is empathy.
Excellent. And it explains everything I've seen from you today. So beautiful word to end with. So thank you so very much for your time and for your experience and for sharing with us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ricardo.
Yep. Until next time.
Yep.